Dr. Omane Boamah, Alhaji Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, he is also dead. Hello people, welcome to What They Happen. I trust you do fine. Today, Ghana has not had a good news. The entire nation has been thrown into a state of mourning. We've lost some prominent figures in our country among the government structure. Make I run you through some of the key details concerning this issue. On Wednesday, just around 12:30 p.m., when all major news platforms were carrying their midday news, a story broke that a helicopter has crashed or had crashed around Adanse Akrofom in the Ashanti region. You know, it came across as one of the regular news stories, but you know that whenever a helicopter or a plane crashes, there are immediate concerns about those who were on board, who probably might have died. We later had a press release from the Ghana Armed Forces, which confirmed that the helicopter in question was one of their helicopters. The whole story is that there were a number of ministers and other members of government structure who were traveling to the Ashanti region for the launch of the Responsible Cooperative Mining and Skills Development Program. That program was already happening. And so we had people like the Defense Minister, Dr. Omane Boamah, as well as the Minister for Environment, Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, and other government officials who were going to join those who are already there. When you look at the original flyer for the program, the president himself was to be there, as well as other ministers who could not make it. Now, fast forward, after getting that confirmation from the Ghana Armed Forces, who is currently mounting a search for this missing helicopter, after that press conference or press statement from them, we had the presidency come to confirm our fears. People, it no be good news. It be bad news where it hit the country like that. This whole day, people will be disoriented right now. Sake of, you check the names, then the list up. All of these people where I can't mention them names, them all die. Them all die. Starting from Dr. Omane Boamah, who is the Minister for Defense. We have Alhaji Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, Minister for the Environment. He is also dead. And then you have other people like Alhaji Muniru Mohammed, who is the Acting Deputy National Security Coordinator. So you look at this, you realize that these are key figures. And then there are others like Dr. Samuel Sapong, who is the Vice Chairman of the NDC, the ruling party. Now you have Mr. Samuel Abuaje, a former parliamentary candidate. And then you have others like the Squadron Leader, Peter. Also, you have Flying Officer Chuma Mpedu, and then Sergeant Ernest Addo. These 8 people, when you break them down, you have 3 of them being crew members on the helicopter, and then the 5 others are these, government officials, the 2 ministers and the others who were on board the helicopter. They were all on board, and they've all been confirmed dead. It'd be very sad news. It'd be very sad. Me, we are the talks actually. I make slow. That thing worry me. It worry me why. Where you check her, you realize, say, just some few weeks ago, this defense minister was in parliament. And he spoke about the fact that Ghana's presidential jet is not in a good status, for which reason it has been grounded in France for so many months due to corrosion and all of that. So, and when you check this particular helicopter in question, you realize that it is not even Ghana alone that uses it. There are other countries like Kenya, for instance, recently received one of such helicopter from China. So the question that is arising right now among many people is that what is the the status of this particular helicopter which has crashed, out of which all these ministers have died? That is something that we can find out later. But before anything else, we also know that even the Chief of Staff, Julius Debra, addressed one of the very shortest press conferences that we have had so far this year, in which press conference he confirms the death of all of these people. And after everything, and looking at how pained they are, I mean, when you look at the shot from that presidency press conference, almost everyone was seen crying. You like the likes of Haruna Ijusu, the education minister, was there. You have Muntaka Mohammed, who was to be on board that plane, who was at the press conference. They were all crying, like uncontrollable tears. What we understand from our sources is that right now, the Vice President, Professor Nana Kwadwoman, is going to chair a military security council meeting, which is very urgent. It doesn't really happen like that, And when you look at the chronology of bad news that the country has had, the very recent one, which is very fresh on the minds of many people, is the legendary music icon Daddy Lumba's own, which most of these same people who have passed on right now wrote glowing tribute to him. Many of them went to visit his residence and the family he's left behind. So it just tells you about how the country over the last 1 month has progressed from one bad news to the other to the next. And now you have ministers of state who have all passed on in one plane crash somewhere in the Ashanti region. And after, when you look at the press conference that the chief of staff had a while ago, earlier on Wednesday, he spoke with deep pain, with a heart that is so saddened. And after everything, and as it were, he has directed that all flags be made to fly at half-mast. This is very symbolic. When such a thing happens, it means that the country has lost some great personalities. Nothing of this sort has ever happened. In fact, when you listen to a lot of people, them go talk, you say, after President Mills died, the next bigger national mourning we had was Daddy Lumba. In less than 1 month, we've had this bigger one, which is probably even bigger than Daddy Lumba, because one would argue that Daddy Lumba is one single person. Fine. Any lost soul is a lost soul. It is painful. But here is the case. You have 2 ministers of state and other 7 or 6 precious souls, making 8 who have died in one instance. Imagine that the other minister, like Ibrahim Murtala, was on board. Imagine we had the president on board. How would this turn out to be? And so the chief of staff has ordered that all flags fly at half-mast in recognition of this painful loss of these great individuals. And in his own words, he also added that all efforts are being made to establish contact. And as such, government regrets, government is mourning together with these families who have lost these precious souls. You would expect to get more updates from this particular desk. What did happen? Going forward, stay tuned. We'll be back with more latest updates and all the first way you for know. Charlie, stay tuned.